What's up, gems? I'm Jamelia, and if you're new here, welcome to my channel. To my returning subscribers, you guys, welcome back. Welcome back. As you guys can see from the title, we'll be reacting to, y'all know I gotta read it, 20 craziest reactions of convicts after given a life sentence. Let's start the screen recording. Let's see what we're working with. Here we go.
Being told that you're gonna spend the rest of your life in prison is a lot to take in, regardless of the crime you committed. But just when you think you know how people will react to such a sentence, they go and surprise you.
Remorse.
From a laughing killer to one that yelled at a judge, here are 20 craziest reactions of convicts given a life sentence.
Oh. And this will be a two-part video because this video is what, 26 minutes, 22 seconds. So I'll split it up and let's get back into it. My bad.
Number 20. Esteban Carpio. Boston, Massachusetts convicted prison inmate Esteban was sentenced to life in prison without parole for the murder of a policeman in 2005. When Providence police were questioning him for stabbing an 85-year-old woman, a detective had left the room to get a drink of water for Esteban. This left him alone in the room with Police Detective Sergeant James L. Allen. Once the detective had left the room, Esteban grabbed James's gun and shot him twice, resulting in his death. Esteban then jumped out the third-floor interview room window before being caught less than an hour later. Incredibly, Esteban was brought to his arraignment wearing a mask that was designed to stop offenders from biting or spitting on people. He also had red eyes, cheeks, and a red forehead, along with swelling around his forehead and cranial region.
Every day, I face the facts of what I did and what happened.
It wasn't so much his crazy reaction that shocked people, but that of his family. When he was sentenced to life in prison, his family screamed and yelled about police brutality. An FBI investigation concluded that excessive force had not been used given the circumstances, and that his injuries were sustained when he jumped from the third floor of the building and during his struggle with law enforcement. Number 19. Anthony Rodriguez.
I had no words.
Anthony Rodriguez, who had just turned 18, was on parole when he robbed, kidnapped, and sexually assaulted a 25-year-old woman in Martin Luther King Jr. Park, dragging her 105 feet into a bathroom.
For what?
Anthony had previous arrests for violence, but this appeared to be his first for sexual assault. According to reports, Anthony had been quiet throughout the entire ordeal, but that soon changed when the judge sentenced him to 25 years to life. He started directly talking to the judge with tears in his eyes, yelled profanity.
This is turning out to be a lot larger than any
What
of
about
us.
the young woman?
Amsterdam, only in theaters October 7th.
I'm sure she was crying. Like,
and called the ruling unfair. He had to be forced to sit down.
he called the ruling unfair, y'all. No, there's no way. Okay.
Anthony clearly wasn't happy with the outcome of the trial, and neither was his family. Afterward, his mother said that he didn't deserve life in prison and that something was wrong for him to receive such a heavy sentence. Anthony wasn't the first person to be arrested for the same crime. Previously, Mike Zarate Jacobo was under arrest on suspicion of rape and stayed in a downtown jail for 35 days until DNA evidence cleared him. That DNA evidence instead linked 18-year-old Anthony Rodriguez to the crime. Number 18. Jaleel Smith Riley. Jaleel Smith Riley was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole in 2016 for shooting and killing Portia Brooks and severely injuring her boyfriend Aaron Martin during a robbery. Portia and Aaron were sitting in a parked car in Norwood when Jaleel approached the vehicle with two others and ordered Aaron to get out. When Jaleel discovered that he had nothing of value to take, he shot him in the head before leading into the vehicle and shooting Portia as well. A Crime Stoppers tip led the police to Jaleel, who was charged with.
This is why there is no possibility for parole. Like, y'all heard what I just heard, right? I want to hear what he.
Aggravated murder, attempted murder, aggravated robbery, and 2 counts of felonious assault. To avoid the death penalty, he pleaded guilty and faced a sentence of life without parole. When he was sitting in the gallery, Portia's family spoke to the court and Jaleel. Jaleel then had to try and convince the court that he deserved leniency. He started crying in court with tears rolling down his face. He said, "I just want to come home one day." Mwah.
I just want to come home one day.
His attorney stepped in and said
Can any
Jaleel
of your
was someone who
victims
felt
come home?
genuine remorse and thought about what he did every day. He said he couldn't
Can they?
undo what he did. The judge had the final word and sentenced Jaleel to life without parole. As soon as those words came out of his mouth, Jaleel fell to the floor crying. Number 17. Danta Wright.
Oh.
When someone tells you that they've lost their only child, their son, their baby, and their friend,
You don't
it's only
smile.
natural for you to feel sadness. You might also feel a great deal
You
of
don't
remorse if you're
smile.
the reason why someone isn't alive. But when a victim impact statement was read out to the court and the person responsible for murdering 18-year-old Jordan Clee, the court was in shock. The defendant, 17-year-old Danta Wright, who was sentenced to 23 to 50 years in prison, smiled and nearly laughed. When his lawyer attempted to say that his client said it was never his intention to injure, Danta interrupted him to address the court himself. You might think that at this point he might express remorse from the heart, but that is not what happened at all. Instead, he smiled as he said, "I just want to tell y'all I'll be home soon. I love my family."
I tell y'all, I'll be home soon. R.I.P. Keon. I love my family.
This definitely wasn't well received by most people in the courtroom. The judge asked prosecutors if the sentencing agreement was too merciful. He followed up by saying that watching Dana sit there, smiling, laughing, and shaking his head like it was no big deal, he was tempted to say he wasn't going to accept the sentencing agreement and take the case to trial. If convicted of felony murder, that would mean Danta would be in prison for the rest of his life. That means you'll die there. That's what I'm tempted to do, the judge said. Number 16. Insane acting man. When a man was charged with possession of a weapon during a violent crime along with murder, he acted in a way that surely made the people around him think he was gonna crack at any minute. Not only was he clenching his fist, but he was also making strange sounds, shaking his head, and standing before the judge with his teeth bared for the entire time that she was describing how things were gonna play out. The judge also tried to ask the man questions, but he wouldn't answer all of them consistently.
Do you answer my questions?
When she asked whether he'd like to be screened for a court-appointed lawyer or whether he could hire his own, he didn't answer immediately. He then proceeded
looked
to
like he
ask the
just
judge
wanna
whether he
zag
looked like he
him.
could afford one, and then said he
over
didn't
it.
need one. It's not known what the outcome of this case was, but even during the early stages of his case, his reactions were absolutely terrifying. When the video was uploaded to the internet, many people were quick to point out that the man was likely trying to act insane so that he
Yeah.
could enter an insanity plea. We're not sure of the case's outcome, but you're surely interested to know whether he managed to keep up this look.
He just
Number 15.
stupid.
Jacob
I'm
Matthew
sorry.
Morgan.
He did.
In 2015, a 14-month
I hate that though. Like, there are people out there that genuinely suffer and struggle with mental illnesses, and yo, when they try to use this insanity plea, and you were fine the whole time, now you're insane. Now him just now, I don't know what he was doing. I don't know what was going on. But no. Unacceptable.
old baby died in a house fire while at home with his
I
17-year-old
hate
brother,
that.
Jacob Morgan of Rock Hill, South Carolina. Jacob was initially charged with murder and pleaded guilty to the crime in October 2021. He was charged with involuntary manslaughter, unlawful conduct towards a child, and third-degree arson after setting his home on fire.
I'm coming. Mommy, it hurts.
I'm reacting like that because I want to
Willfully
know
killing
why
his brother,
you
Joshua
reacting like that.
Alexander Hill. The court stated that Jacob set 2 fires, exited the home, and left his brother inside to die. Jacob hasn't given formal statements about how the fire started, but later said he lit a pillow on fire and threw it in the air. Authorities think 2 sets of fires were started, one in the master bedroom where the baby was asleep, and another in the living room. In a probable cause hearing, Jacob cried, pleaded, and prayed with absolute terror in his eyes before he was charged with arson and murder connected to his brother. He was then led out of the courtroom crying.
Good.
Eventually, Jacob was charged for the killing of Joshua Hill, and he would be sentenced to 15 years in prison. His mother, Julie Hill, said Jacob has developmental issues and loved his little brother. Number 14. Lukachi Kendall. Lukachi Kendall was working as a security guard for a strip club where Kewan Bird and his friend Michael Smathers had gone for a night out. They decided to exit the club, sit in Michael's car for a while, and then return to the club minutes later. Lukachi parked next to Kewan and Michael and started dressing for his job, which included putting on a vest, gloves, baton, knife, gun, and ammunition. All 3 men made visual contact before Lukachi retreated to the club. As Kewan and Michael got out of the car to go back into the club, Lukachi opened fire, shooting Kewan in the back 8 times, killing him. Michael was left paralyzed from the waist down. In court, when Lukachi alleges insanity and requests to be put in a mental institution rather than prison, Kewan's father starts yelling at Lukachi, screaming that he murdered his son for nothing.
You don't need to be laying no mental hospital. You need to go to prison, man.
Security guards and family tried to calm Kewan's father, but he had to be dragged out of the courtroom. During the trial, Lukachi didn't present any evidence, didn't testify, and didn't accept court-appointed standby counsel. He was convicted of second-degree murder and attempted murder and was sentenced to life in prison. Number 13. Kayla Mendoza. Kayla Mendoza is known for having tweeted "too drunk to care" before being involved in a wrong-way collision on the South Florida Expressway while intoxicated. She took the lives of 2 women and was sentenced to 24 years in prison. Kayla cried and showed remorse throughout her entire trial and was sentenced in 2014 for her crime.
No matter how much time passes, I'm gonna live with that in my heart every day that I took them.
However, Kayla was soon on a mission to have her sentence reduced to just 10 years after writing an apologetic letter to the judge who had sentenced her. Kayla said she wanted to be out of prison so that she could be involved in Mothers Against Drunk Driving. She also wanted to help save lives, even though she couldn't bring back the lives she took. Kayla also said she didn't want another family to be broken like the families that were broken because of her. Kayla wrote that she planned to take substance abuse classes and is open to probation. She also wanted to work to pay restitution, court costs, and money owed in a civil lawsuit. Judge Hames said prosecutors would respond to Kayla's request within 90 days, and the families of the 2 women killed planned on making their feelings known. Number 12. Ryan Stone.
I didn't know what to say to Miss Too Drunk to Care. A lot of these cases, like especially the ones in the beginning, I haven't heard of. I'm not familiar with. I'm most likely gonna end up doing some research, honestly. And I recall in one of them, it was said that he had some mental illness issues. So I want to look into that too. But wow. Oh my goodness. Ugh. If you've made it this far in the video, thanks for watching. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for kicking it. Thanks for just being you. Just thank you. I do appreciate you guys more than words can explain. I hope you guys are having a beautiful, lovely, productive, awesome, amazing, dope day. And I'll see you guys in part 2. Bye guys.